Okay, now that we've talked about our worst films of 2010, it is your turn to talk about your worst film of 2011.
Yeah. Now, for most people, when it comes to a franchise, the third installment is always the worst.
That's
But I agree with them with the extent of a crappier fourth installment coming in.
I see.
With
I see
that
where
being
this is
said,
going.
yeah, my least favorite of 2011,
Yeah.
Spy Kids 4D, all the time in the world.
You're a spy.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually pretty cool.
I love my work.
When time stops,
Fire up your gadgets.
They're not activated.
the adventure begins.
Hammer time. What are you gonna do?
What I do best.
Enjoy the ride!
The smaller the spy,
You're the best spy mom ever.
the bigger the hero.
I'm gonna hurl!
Here you go.
Good job, Cecil!
Spy Kids, all the time in the world.
Argonaut, do something! Attack mode!
Activated.
I love doing that.
The fact that they called this 4D, it was like, what? I'm sure it confused a lot of people because it was like, what is 4D? Anyway,
Because
so,
they
off you go.
thought, how can you go from 3D, which was super cool with Spy Kids, game over?
It was, yeah, guilty pleasure movie, but it was fun. It was pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting off track. I should talk about the plot first.
Yeah. Okay.
So, this film actually takes place a decade before the original Spy Kids trilogy, and you have new kids with their new family, and a new villain called the Timekeeper who plans to take over the world. And these new kids have all the gadgets they need to try and stop them.
I didn't. The one piece you said that I was a little confused about was you said it takes place a decade before the original. But there's older.
No, after.
Oh, after. I'm sorry. I'm after. Okay, after. Yes, it does take place a decade after. Now I've actually seen this film as well. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. Go off you go.
I mean, how could you possibly destroy a perfectly good kids franchise like this?
Yeah, the trilogy's not bad. Honestly, it's
No.
could be worse.
I mean, I can understand people's dislike for Game Over, but this movie felt more like a spin-off than it did the actual Spy Kids universe.
Yeah, it was a very poor attempt, like a very poor cash grab to keep that franchise going, and it just it killed the franchise.
Yeah, and I'll say I feel like if you let a franchise go for way too long, it just tends to lose its vibe a while.
Yeah, it does. The first one's still my favorite because it was the simplest.
Yeah, which thankfully they didn't make any more, or else it would have gone down the drain like Home Alone did.
I knew you were gonna say that.
When they made 6 of them, and the only good ones were the first 2.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that the third one wasn't awful compared to the fourth, fifth, and sixth, but
I've only seen bits and pieces of the third one.
Have you? The third one, it's kind of twisted with what happens to the characters. Anyway, yeah, the first 2 are the only good ones.
Besides, like, I mean, the kids were okay, I guess, in the new family, but you want to know the worst part?
Yeah, I do.
The
Tell me.
4D aromascope.
What the heck was that?
I mean, with 3D, at least you had glasses that can create effect with things popping out on you.
Makes sense. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool.
This was supposed to be smell, and all I got was a scratch ticket.
I don't know whose idea that was.
And honestly, the only good thing about this film was the fact that Judy and Carmen returned.
Yeah, they were like probably only a saving grace about this movie. Like I said, the kids were clearly younger than the original kids were in the first film. I found it was geared towards much younger kids than the previous 3 movies. That's all. Yeah. So I felt like the first 3 had some adult humor and were pretty well rounded. This new one, I was just like, what are you doing?
I know. Trying too hard.
Yeah. I think along with the 4D, which was stupid. Did you see this in theaters?
Yep.
Oh, I feel so bad for you.
I know.
I feel so bad for
I was
you.
so disappointed, even when I saw it in theaters.
I can't believe I did not see this in theaters. I didn't see it until like years later. I saw it on streaming because I was like, it looked like it was going to be bad, and hey, I was right.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how bad it was going to be. The effects are also pretty poor too.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like what? I will say it's not as bad as Shark Boy and Lava Girl, which is pretty much an unwatchable film. But it's pretty close. I mean, thank God.
Probably the worst movie of that decade.
Yeah, that's true. What year did that come out? I'm trying to remember.
05.
That was 05?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, if we do a worst of 2001,
However,
2000, yeah.
I will admit I liked it when I was a kid, so I'd say I was a good judgment of film.
Yeah,
at
yeah,
that
good
age.
judge of character. Yeah, okay. I don't even know if I've watched that film all the way through. The only thing I can remember about it is that Taylor Lautner was Shark Boy. I'm like, Taylor Lautner from Twilight? What?
Yeah.
I didn't recognize him back then. Yeah, so anyways, but yeah, Spy Kids 4, just, why was it made?
No idea.
I don't know. I mean, I'd say Ricky Gervais as the robot dog was pretty funny, but again, I would say the majority of it is negative, not
Yep.
positive. It's just, and the villain was ridiculously
Mhm.
stupid. So that is all your thoughts on
Yep.
Spy Kids 4D All the Time in the World.
Alrighty.
All right,
What is your pick?
my pick, worst
I already
film
know what it
of
is.
2011. Yeah, but I'm gonna do a lead up. You and I actually saw this movie in theaters, and I
On
remember
my birthday.
Oh my God, that's right. It was on his birthday. We were so excited because it was the first time this character from the comic books was getting the big screen treatment. And I left this film kind of confused, definitely disappointed, and just kind of like empty inside. I was just like, I was still trying to tell myself that was good.
At least we liked it when we were kids.
Yes, but it helps that the star has come out and done other movies where he's literally made fun of the movie, so that he was basically confirming to the audience, it's okay, even I hate it.
Yeah.
That is Green Lantern.
The ring said it was a great responsibility. Responsibility? You? Let's hope so. Anything I see in my mind, I can create. The one thing that a Green Lantern is supposed to be is fearless. That isn't me.
You had the ability to overcome fear.
Wow. I know, right? Woo!
What happens now?
You go look for trouble. Brightest day, blackest night.
Wow. This is one of DC's biggest misfires. They've had quite a few. But this was before, I believe, was this before the Dark Knight trilogy? I think it was.
No, it was. Well, it came out in 2011.
Oh,
So,
it came out in between the trilogy.
in between Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises.
Wow, that surprises me because, I mean, they were killing it with the Dark Knight trilogy, and then DC comes out with this. It doesn't, looking back, it doesn't really make that much sense.
No.
No.
But then again, they didn't have the same director.
They didn't, and I would like to point out, Martin Campbell is the director of this film. I don't know what happened, if there was a lot of studio interference, because he directed GoldenEye
Yep.
and Casino Royale, two of the better Bond films.
Yeah.
I love Casino Royale. What happened here?
No idea.
What happened? I don't believe that this is a film directed by him. I feel like there was too much studio interference and he just had to do what they asked.
Yep.
And, Ryan Reynolds is giving it his all. I'm glad he was able to meet Blake Lively and, obviously marry her, but this was the set where they fell in love. Great, at least the movie's got that going
Yep.
for it. But this movie's effects, its villain, its story, its acting, sort of, it just is not up to par with what I think fans wanted to see from a Green Lantern movie.
Nope.
There's way too much green screen. There's parts of it that feel like it was cut out because there actually was deleted scenes. It's like, no, that should have been in there. Why are we now moving on to this plot point? It didn't make any sense. And the choice to animate his suit was laughably bad. It's a bad sign when fan suits for Green Lantern at, like, conventions excuse me, are more impressive than the actual suit in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, oh god. And similar to The Last Airbender, this movie set up a sequel in its end credits. It's like, that's not happening.
Yeah.
No. And this movie has basically been forgotten in time. Ryan Reynolds will still talk about it in passing, and it's nice if he does that, but I don't think I'll ever watch this movie. It's on TV every once in a while. I usually just watch it as like to laugh at it.
Yeah.
It's just not a good movie. And one of the most disappointing, if not the most disappointing, superhero film that I have seen of the decade.
I agree.
And that is our worst films of 2011.
Yep.
Moving on.